Welcome, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you're all in and able to see our screen. If you guys want to give us, oh yay, we've got a thumbs up, fantastic. So welcome to today's session. We're going to go through a session called Get Creative with Prompting. And if you've come to one of my sessions before, you know I've been promising this for a while. So super pleased that I can bring this to you. And for those who haven't met me before, maybe I should introduce myself. My name is Narelle Stefanac, and I am the AI skills lead at Microsoft. And one of the things that I am not university degree qualified. I am not a technical expert, but during my time at Microsoft, I've been skilling up. So I've completed a few certifications. If you haven't done certifications before, this is definitely a great way to bolster your understanding and breadth of knowledge across a lot of the different technical solutions that exist out there. I've managed to get my Azure AI engineer certification, so I sound techie, but I understand how it all works. Actually applying it and doing it as a day job, I probably need a lot more practice. But it is a really great way to sort of build out that muscle and start to learn more about the tech industry. Now, with me, I actually have a couple of people. We have Felicia Clark, who's just joining you on the screen now. Did you want to say hello, Felicia?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Felicia Clark. I'm the Data Security Cloud Solution Architect, and I'm based in New Zealand.
Thank you, Felicia. Felicia's going to sit in the chat and help moderate any of your questions. Super technical and super awesome on Copilot, so it'd be a great help. And then we're also joined by Susan Saseeth. If you wanted to introduce yourself as well.
Thanks, Narelle. Hey, everyone. My name is Sushant Satish. I'm based out in Auckland, and I'm a Copilot technical specialist.
Yay. So we've got technical specialists with us as well. So to give you context, everything I'm going to show you today is stuff that I have learned because I'm at Microsoft and someone's shared something with me and I've gone, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm going to use that. Okay, so I'm going to be leveraging the work of others and sharing it with you so that you can actually start to build some of this capability yourself. So if you have questions, type them in the Q&A box. We'll get the specialist to help you on some of those technical ones. And then also you can type your questions into the chat box as well. And when we get to the end of today's session, I'll do my best to answer as many questions as I possibly can. Now we're using presenting in live in Teams. So what that means is that you'll have a Q&A box at the top where you can ask really cool questions. You'll probably have a chat function as well where you can just sort of general chit chat. So make sure you use those in the appropriate way. You'll also have access to the handles. So I can't point directly to them, but they're probably just underneath the slide down there. And it says slide 2 of 57. We've got a lot to get through. Okay, so what I would say is that I'm going to let these handles stay open, and that's so that you can go forward and backwards as I'm going, because we're going to cover a lot of material. And if I go too fast for you and you want to go back a couple of slides and check something, you'll have the ability to do that. If you do that and you skip ahead or skip backwards and you want to get back up to where I'm at, there'll be a little box that'll pop up next to those handles. It's usually around here somewhere, and it'll say sync with presenters slides, and that'll sync you back to where I am. So just make sure you make use of those. All right, we're going to get into it, and this can be live interaction. So by all means, just feel free to be able to follow along. What you do need to do is you do need to go into Copilot. So the address is there on the screen. You can see it. It is copilot.microsoft.com. And then when you get there, I'm actually taking you through the free version of Copilot, right? So there's Microsoft Copilot, which is free. And then there's Microsoft M365 Copilot, which is the one that you would use with your work instance, let's say, and it would allow you to then use it across all of your documents and all of your internal SharePoints and Excel and PowerPoint, like all of your M365 products. So we're not going to do that one today because not everyone has access to it. So I'm going to do something that every single human on the planet has access to, and I'm going to show you how to step through it from that perspective. Okay, first thing I'm going to take you through is dumb it down. And this one I use a lot because I'm not technical and there's a lot of technical information that I tend to see in my workplace. A lot of other people are a lot smarter than me, so I need to dumb it down, and then sometimes I dumb it down too far and I have to dial it back up again. So I'm going to show you how to do that trick. And the first thing that I thought was a useful exercise is when I was doing my Azure Fundamentals certification, it was difficult doing it for the first time because there's a lot of words that I didn't necessarily understand. So something as simple as what is horizontal scaling and vertical scaling, and how does that relate to Azure? So I wanted to understand that better. And so what I would do is I'd type this into Copilot as my prompt, and then it would give me a response. And the response is great. So you look at it, and I look at it now, and I've done 4 certifications. So this sort of makes sense to me now. I know the words and it's not overwhelming. But when I did it for the first time, I didn't understand it. And there are a lot of words in there that made me go, oh my goodness, what is that? What is that? So I didn't know what an instance was. I didn't know what a resource was. What's a virtual machine? What's an application? What does high traffic mean? So all of a sudden I'm getting noise in my brain around not only what is horizontal scaling, but I don't even know the words that are describing what horizontal scaling is. So it's creating more confusion. So it might seem simple, but it's actually a little bit more complex for me in my brain at that point in time. So what I did is I popped into Copilot a really simple prompt that says, explain this to me like I'm a 10-year-old. And that's such a great prompt to use. It's so clear. And then when you get your response back, it gives you an analogy. And that's the thing that I like about it. When you say, explain it to me like I am, it will then try to choose an analogy that would best describe and best suit someone of that mentality or that age level. So here it's saying, well, imagine you're running a lemon stand, and horizontal scaling is all about you're getting more and more people show up. So get more and more stands, have more people man them, have more jugs, and you'll make more money, right? But whereas vertical scaling is, ooh, why don't you just make a big, big stand? And then you'll just have all of the things on one stand, and then maybe even some extra cool things because it's a humongous, like really super cool stand. So you'll just have more bells and whistles on it. So they're your 2 choices. You can either just have more of the same or one really big gargantuan one. And so it gives you a nice little explanation here. But then if you think that you get a result that is too basic, then you can actually dial it back up. And you can say, well, that's a bit basic. Explain it to me like I'm a 15-year-old. And in that instance, it'll start to explain it in a slightly different, nuanced way. And this one's more of a gaming analogy, and it does talk more around using tech and servers and things like that, but at a level that is still easy for someone to digest who might be non-technical. So this is just a great way to sort of dumb down and dial up the types of responses that you're getting. So definitely encourage you to do that. I use it all the time. So even when I'm in a work setting and someone sent me an email and I'm like, I don't understand some of those words in there, I'll say, explain that to me like I'm a 10-year-old, please. And it'll give me the really, really basic view. And sometimes our executives actually want the 10-year-old version, right? So that's the other thing is I'll get something really technical, or maybe I've written something that is really verbose, and then I'll say, write this like I need to explain it for a 10-year-old, and then it'll give me that really clear and succinct example or an analogy, and executives love it. So I use it for execs, and I also use it for me. All right, that's our first one, right? Really, really simple. This next one's a bit harder. So this one is about enlisting the expert. And the reason why it's harder is because the prompt's longer. Now, I don't suggest you go off and create the prompt yourself. I suggest you just copy the prompt I give you, and then you just save it. So this is the prompt. I was given this prompt. It's very, very long. It's very wordy. But what it's doing, right? It's saying that I might have a problem or I might have an opportunity, either of those scenarios. And I'm not the expert. So what I want you to do, Copilot, is enlist an expert, create a persona of the best person that would be able to answer and solve for this type of challenge or opportunity. And I still want to be able to weave in my own perspective in here. So I want to be able to if you ask me some questions and I know the answers to them, I want to be able to still contribute to the answer. But it's possible that I don't even know the answers that this expert would ask, right? So this topic is so far removed from me, or it's too hard, it's above my level, that I need someone to not only ask expert questions, but then I sort of need an expert to answer those questions as well. And I just want you to keep doing that. Like I want to sit and be an observer, watching this dialogue happen between two experts. And then at the end, I want you to give me my finished solution, right? So when I pop this prompt in, one of the things it says in there is just now ask me, please let me know what opportunity or problem you would like to investigate, right? So I've included that in the prompt. So what Copilot does as its first step is, please let me know what opportunity or problem you'd like me to investigate. And the example that I used was, look, I have the opportunity to create a 10 series podcast on dogs, but I have very limited knowledge as I only own a pet beagle, and she's a bit unusual in comparison to many dogs that I've interacted with before. Please help me, right? So very limited information, but it's just like a scenario. I'm just talking to it like a friend, very high level. And then the first thing that Copilot does is creates that persona. So it says, great, here is Dr. Canis, fantastic name for a dog specialist, and here's her background, right? It's a fictional person, and they've created what they believe, well, Copilot believes would be a great expert to be able to answer any questions on this topic. Now, to really bring this to life, I'm actually going to take us to Copilot. So I'm going to switch out of this screen and I'm going to run this live for you. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to share screen over here instead. All right, so this is the prompt, right? Can you guys see my screen actually? Can you see just give me a thumbs up. Looks like you can't see it. Is that fair?
No, they can see it.
Okay, cool. Give me a second. I'm going to try and share it again. Oh, you see a presentation screen? If that's the case, that's cool because I'm going to switch it over. So if I switch over to Copilot, oops, over here, you can see the Copilot screen now. Yeah, great, awesome, beautiful. For some reason, it's not showing on mine. It just shows up blank. So, but that's good. It's good you guys can see it. Excellent. So in here, all I've done, I will just paste that big, massive prompt in. Actually, the thing you do need to remember is just paste in plain text, right click, and it just puts it in text for you. If you do it as a copy and paste and it's in a box on a PowerPoint presentation, it'll try and paste it as an image for you. So it's come up here. We've seen that response. Fantastic. I'm going to grab that one about being, I have the opportunity to create a podcast. Excellent. I'll pop that into Copilot again. And what happens is not only does it give me this persona bit, which I showed you on the screen, but it then starts asking questions because the part of the prompt is for every time you respond to me, Copilot, you must provide 3 questions every single time. And it's just like going to go on and on and on and on and on forever and a day. But every single time I ask you anything or give you information, you're always going to come back with another 3 questions. Now, it's asking me what is the primary purpose or theme of my podcast? Maybe I don't know. Who is my target audience? Maybe I don't know. I'm not an expert. I just like people to come. And then what are the key topics? I might not know, right? So that's how bad of an expert I am for this podcast. I don't know anything, but that's okay. I can just say answer. And if I say answer, because that's part of the prompt instruction that I gave it the first time, it answers the question as well. So it says, okay, well, this is what your purpose should be. This is what your target audience should be. And this is what your key topics of interest should be. Now I'm going to ask you another 3 questions. How much content do you want? Are there any platforms? Is there any important scientific accuracy I need? I don't know. If they're good questions, answer them for me. So I just say answer again, and they'll come up with it. And we do this over and over until we look at the questions and we go, oh, we feel like we're getting a bit redundant, or I don't really care about these anymore. So I'll do it another 4 times. And the main reason why I want to do this several times is because it's generating content, right? All this content is coming into a thread. It's making up all of this information so that when I decide that I've had enough and I just want to stop here, like let's say I want to stop now, I just say solution. And that's part of the initial prompt that we put in. When you type in solution, it will allow you to, well, it'll actually give you the whole plan. So it'll say, here's your 10 series podcast. This is the podcast structure, the format, the release schedule, the episodes and themes. There's your 10 themes. This is the branding, what it's called, the art, how much it's going to cost to produce. Like everything's in here, all your guest stories, everything. So great. I just download that and there's my 10 series podcast. That's as simple as it is. And that's why I love this. Is Otter AI approved? I don't know. I've used Otter in the olden days, but I'm not sure about Otter AI these days. I think you could probably use it for personal use, but for business use, you'd want it to make sure that you're under your business's requirements in terms of security. But ultimately, what you do with this information now is you go off and you create your project, right? So definitely try it out. I love that particular prompt. I use it all the time. If I've got a problem or a challenge, instead of me going through even the first round of trying to think about how do I solve for it, which takes a lot of time, I typically just go in and say answer, 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 answer. Or if they ask good questions that I know the answers to and I think, oh, I want to nuance that because I know the answer, I just answer one of the questions. I'll say to question number 2, this, but answer the rest. And then it'll answer the rest. So it'll basically work with you as a companion. And that's why I particularly love this one. All right, so I've taken you through that sort of next level. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share my screen again back in presenter mode. So give me a second, I'll do that.
And Narelle, Hannah has got her hand up. Hannah.
Okay, great.
You oh no, she's got her hand down now. It's probably an accident.
Do we have any questions that we want to run through before I move into the hackathon plan bit?
Questions so far? No questions so far in the Q&A or in the chat.
Beautiful. Okay, great. All right, I hope I'm not moving too fast for you all. And then I'm going to now open up the step 3, like the third one, which is around the hackathon. This is going to take like half an hour for us to go through. Okay, and you can follow along, but give me a second, I'll get this up on your screen for you. Okay, let me skip to the right slide. Alrighty. So hackathon plan. This is the one that I've spoken about a fair bit in previous events. And the reason why I loved this particular session, it was run by Microsoft's Garage. We don't have a garage in Australia or New Zealand. They are physical like destinations or places across the world, and they basically run hackathons, and they teach organizations how to do design thinking and then build out an MVP, and so they're like grassroots innovation style, and we use this a lot for ourselves as well. So we had something like 70,000 Microsofties participate in a global hackathon last year, which is massive, right? It's a multi-day event, and people just hacking out ideas, and sometimes these ideas actually land as products. So it's a really interesting sort of construct. If your organization doesn't do hackathons, it is definitely something that I would encourage. If you do, but you've never participated in one, this is probably for you, because it will help you just go from, I have maybe an idea sort of, but don't really know how to articulate it. And but I want to be able to sort of bring it to life through a hackathon, but I don't want to look silly. Okay, so this is going to help you do that. There's 13 steps. It sounds a lot, right? But all of these are prompted. So you could just copy the prompt, paste it into Copilot, and then move to the next step, and then do the next one, do the next one, do the next one. So we actually did this in 30 minutes with a lot of discussion in this internal session that we had with the garage. So I'm going to take you through it in hopefully 30 minutes as well. And I've also emailed out a pack. Now, the pack is like a hackathon pack, so like a workbook. So you can actually copy and paste what you get as your results into that pack. So you can either do that live now and like shadow me and do this on a separate screen, or you can do it after. If you haven't received that pack, we'll post a link where you can download it. It's via LinkedIn. It's through LinkedIn Smart Links, and you can download it from there. But otherwise, just follow along or just sort of listen, and we'll take you through it. Beautiful. So these are the 13 steps. The first part isn't a prompt. It's actually a design thinking sort of concept, right? So in your workbooks, this would be blank, and I would be asking you to fill it in. I've filled it in for an example for what we're going to run through today. So in terms of thinking through what problem I would want to hack out, I would actually really love to field some training for non-tech professionals that was fun and engaging, not just a standard webinar like we're doing today, something different, something more interactive, something, more gamified, more sort of community-based. So in here, I want to start populating my desirability, my feasibility, and my viability components. This is really important parts to being able to bring together so that when we go to speak to Copilot, it has better context and more grounding. So who do I care about? Who would this be for? It'd be working professionals and people who use technology. So that's the group, right? And you can have as many descriptions. You can have one, you can have multiple. It's up to you. What's the challenge? There's a lack of awareness of how to use AI to increase productivity, creativity, and innovation. So that's the challenge. And then in terms of the resources that I have at my disposal, well, I have Microsoft training partners. I have Microsoft Learn training content. We have technical trainer video content. We have Microsoft experts. We have social media channels. We have the Microsoft Learn platform. So these are all things that I could probably leverage in some way, shape, or form. And then in terms of the value that the individual would get out of this at the end, it's free to access, so that makes it easy. It's easy to follow. That's another thing that I want them to be able to think, feel, and do when they go through the process. I want them to be motivated to learn. I want them to increase their productivity and increase their creativity. So these are the key things that I put into my rapid design thinking. If you have an idea, populate your table now. If you're not 100% certain, park that at this exercise, and you can do this offline and just follow along with the journey. All right, that's the first step, just to sort of get grounded on what it is that you're going to be doing around your hackathon. The second step is actually just setting up Copilot, which is what we mentioned at the beginning, right? You go to Copilot and you can sign in. Once you're in there, then you want to be able to just copy and paste prompts. So this prompt is a calling of the expert, right? We're basically asking Copilot to be an expert in hackathons. So we're saying we want you to be our innovation assistant. We want you to be our coach, and you're going to help us when we give you the right prompts. So this is the way in which we instruct them. And then once you, in your workbook, if you copy this, and I believe we're going to drop the post into the chat in case you don't have the workbook as well, you'd copy this prompt and post it into Copilot. Make sure you paste as plain text. And just a reminder on how to do that, right click, paste as plain text. Otherwise it goes in as an image. You just want it to be plain text. Okay, so that's going to call and set up Copilot for you. Just leave Copilot for a little bit. We're going to set him dormant for a little second because we're going to do another piece. The next thing that we do in terms of what the garage instructs is, we need to be able to get some how might we attack this problem, and then weave in our design thinking, so combine the two. So this is another exercise, right? So if you're not familiar with a how might we statement, I wasn't when I went through this training with the garage. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. Probably would have been helpful to know that this was a thing. But this is a how might we statement where it's designed to try and spark creativity, encourage creative thinking, really be quite optimistic in its thoughts, be very human-centered, and be very open-ended, right? So it's sort of trying to generate creativity. And that's the reason for the how might we phrase. It invites this wide range of potential solutions. So that's what we're invoking by creating a how might we statement. And the how might we statement is sort of broken down into these chunks, and it's scripted, right? So when you go to this particular prompt, there's already a prompt there. This is, you just copy and paste the little prompt. So create a how might we. We don't need to put any information in. That previous slide was just informational. It's just to give you context as to why we would do a how might we. But you basically just copy this little prompt, the 4-line prompt. How might we, using the attached image, that's the really important part. Before you hit enter on that prompt, make sure you copy this one here, just, where are we, back here? Your table, this table, you're going to right click on it, copy it. And when you paste it into your Copilot prompt along with that information around how might we, so it'll appear as an image, that's perfectly fine. It should do that. It will actually read the text that's in the image because it's been done actually in a table. So it's in a readable way. And then when you hit the go on this one, it'll come back and give you a response. And this is your how might we statement. It produces it for you. So all you do is just copy and paste it into that workbook, right? Like you don't have to do anything with this ultimately. This is just your way to document. If we're going to do a hackathon, we need to probably have a how might we statement, and we probably will use this information to build on the rest of the components that we need to be able to do. Yeah, there was a question in the chat, just in the workbook that is empty. Yeah, it's empty because I want you to populate it with your ideas, right? If you don't want to populate it with your ideas, this one here, if you just want to use these components, let's give you that now, just so that you can recreate and mimic that information. Let me see if I can grab it for you. Let's see if this works if I put it in the chat. Might be a little bit clunky, so just make sure you separate it into the right sections. Oh, it's nice and big. Okay, but there you go. That will help you get that information into that box for you if you want to keep following along and just use the pre-built stuff that I've done. All right, so we've done the how might we. And so once you've done this one, we're going into the next prompt that we want to do. And the next prompt is around actually building on that how might we, right? So the first how might we you get back. So if you look at this particular slide, the first how might we, you only get one statement back, right? And you might think in the top line there where it says here, enable working professionals and technology users to harness the full potential of AI to supercharge their productivity, ignite creativity, and drive innovation. You might say, I don't like that. That doesn't sound really like the key statement I want to make. So you ask it for extra options, and that's what this next iteration is. And you can do this on any part of the process. So you don't have to just do one prompt and then move to the next one. You can actually say, okay, using your last response, can you now come up, like improve it? And I really want to focus on getting maybe 3 more. Give me 3 very different options, just so that I have like a range to choose from so I can anchor on the thing that sounds best to me. So that's the prompt that you would use next. And you could use similar ones at any stage. And so now I have 3 more how might we's. And I'm going to take a little bit of time to progress through some of these slides in case some of you are following along and you want to copy what the prompt says and paste it back into your pack. For the purposes of the next part that we're going to do, I read through these and I found that the third one is probably the one that I like the most. So I'm going to be using that in a moment, and I would actually copy that and dump it into the next part of my slide. But You'll be able to do that within Copilot, and I'll show you how. All right, so this part is we want to build the project outline, and what you do is you copy this prompt here, which is basically using the opportunity statement below. See this opportunity statement, and that's where you would insert the one that you liked. So I'd insert that third one that just came up with. Create an innovation project outline using the following headings. So we're giving it structure. And then I want it to also tabulate, because it's really hard to read just plain text. It'll be easier if it is in a table for me. So this is where I would get it to actually give me some more information for the project outline. In this, when you get your results, I've given you a table, and I know there's going to be these 4 headings, and so therefore it'll give you some information on the right. In Copilot, you actually have to physically copy, at the moment, like shade the table, and make sure you shade all of it, and then just click in this first cell and paste it into the table. When you're wanting to do like copy it out of Copilot and put it into a PowerPoint presentation, the main reason why you have to do that is if you just copy it and paste it in, it just does it in like HTML, which is ugly. It makes it a little bit hard. You have to do a lot of work to format it. But if you go into the table and shade it all and then paste it into this table, it'll work for you. If there's 5 rows and 2 columns, just make sure your table is set up that way and it'll just work automatically. If you only have 1 column and 1 row, it'll miss some of the information. So it's really good just to build your table first. It's like 2 columns, 5 rows, perfect. You just go into the top left cell and paste your information in there. And then it comes out, it'll probably come out in larger text, to be fair. So I usually just highlight it and shrink the text down just to make it look prettier. Okay, so now we're going to work out who needs to be in our project team. And this is the prompt for that. Pretty simple prompt for that opportunity statement. So we're going back to that again. And innovation project outline. So we're now using 2 parts that we've created through Copilot. So it's building on the thread. Using the innovation Venn diagram model of desirability, feasibility, and viability, outline the ideal team by role, responsibility, and skill set, no more than 6 team members, and then tabulate. Guys, I don't create these prompts, right? This is done by a professional who knows how to do hackathons. They know what questions to ask. They know what these models are. I'll be like, I've never even heard of this particular one before, but it works, right? So we're sort of taking all the brains and all the goodness out of these experts that are wonderful at their craft, and then placing it into these prompts. So that's why I wanted to give you the workbooks with all the prompts so you can just regenerate as if you're an expert. So this one's pretty easy, and then it'll again produce a table for you. And that table, it has 3 columns and what is it, like 6 rows. So that's what I've put in your workbook. Again, just copy and paste in that top left cell. If you have more columns, more rows, whatever, adjust your table so that it works, and then just shrink her up. The good thing I like about this one is that it will give you roles that you would never have probably even thought about. So, you know, product manager, fine, that makes sense. Maybe an AI specialist, okay, because, you know, I'm trying to create something where I would need that. An innovation lead, well, I wouldn't necessarily think that I'd need an innovation lead, but maybe I do. So how do we make sure that we have someone that's going to take on that role, and how they're going to build this out? And then a content creator who's going to actually go into those educational materials and build it out. So it just gives you like the bones of what you need in the team. This is where it starts to get really fun, the pitch. So you've got sort of like the basis for your hackathon, and now we're starting to get really creative, because often when you are about to put your hand up to participate in a hackathon, you have to get people to want to join your team. So you need to pitch it. And this is often difficult because you're like, I don't even really know my idea. So this takes you through to the next stage and being able to create that pitch that you'll want to be able to use. This is the prompt. Again, just copy it and paste it. It'll give you not only the scripting that you'll need to be able to write the pitch, but it'll also give you a bunch of keywords and that you can use that will be powerful for creating more and more assets. So if you want to extend on this and you want to do elevator pitches, which we will cover in this as well, but you might want to do different types of promotional activities that are really specific, then I would definitely look at this. Okay, so once you copy and paste this in, you'll get the result, and it looks like this. It gives you a title, a tagline, what you're calling out for in terms of the types of people that you want in your team, because it knows now. It knows what you're trying to achieve. It knows the how might we. It knows the project team. It knows what it is that we're actually trying to accomplish and the target audience. So this is the pitch script. If you don't like it, you can ask it to tweak. And you can do that at any time. You can just keep iterating and say, no, less of this, more of that, or I don't like it how it says level up learning. Can you change it to something else that's a little bit more professional? That's sort of how you sort of give instruction to Copilot so it can start to understand what you like more of or less of. The hack image. Okay, so Copilot can also do images, and I think a lot of people have played with the images and things before. So there's a pretty easy little prompt, and you can make this bigger and give it more direction if you like. This was the basic one, and when I created my image for this particular project, I didn't like the image that was created, so I actually went back and asked it a few times to create different images. So I think if you sort of sharpen this one with a little bit more information, like you'll know based on your project the type of audience that you're going after. So you might be able to give it more information around the demographic, the age, like the fashion, the setting in which it would be as well. So you'll be able to give it a little bit more instruction. So this one I'd say just play with. But one thing that is really helpful is to tell it which style, right? So I've set a vibrant caricature style. And this way, when I get the image back, I know it's going to be like cartoon-like. And that's important because this is a gamified experience. So I wanted it to look that way. But you might have photorealistic, you might have paper art. There's heaps of different ones that you can choose. And I've popped this link down here. It should be clickable. You guys should be able to click it. And it just basically goes through, there's like 70 different, it shows you an image and it shows you what it is and tells you how it will work. So if you're not sure what the styles are, this is a great way just to dial up on what they might be for you. But you could easily just copy this prompt, post it into Copilot, and it'll take a little bit of time. It'll have to think through how it's going to generate this. This is one of the images that it created, the one that I probably liked the most. And it was colorful, it showed gaming, it was gamified, it had a mix of genders. And I like that the female was in the middle because I am a big female supporter. So, I think this was probably the one that would resonate best for what I was trying to achieve. All right, I'm going to go to the next one, which is the one pager. Everyone wants a one pager. Everyone wants to just see it on a page, tell me what it is, everything all summed up. So now that we've done so much work, this is easy for Copilot to generate. Now, this is a lot more clear instruction around what it is that I want in that one pager. So there's 4 main sections and there's descriptors on each of them as well. So this is really helpful for Copilot. The more information and the more explicit you can be, the richer the information is when you get it back. When I get this information back, it looks like this, and it breaks it down for me. It looks prettier in Copilot, but when you copy it and paste it out, it looks like this because it comes more in a HTML format. And it does give you the purpose, the background, the opportunity, and the next steps. So it's really, really helpful just to be able to capture in a really succinct way. If I'm not flying too fast for everyone, I'll let you do that step. press release. Often people only understand what idea you have in your mind when you can shoot them forward 3 months, 6 months from now and talk about what you've built. So often when I'm in meetings and someone's ideating, or they're talking about a concept and it hasn't really been fully built out yet, my first question for them is, what does success look like to you? You know, if you shoot forward 3, 6, 12 months from now, what does that look like? Because I need that. I need to know what their vision is, because if I could imagine myself being there in that space, I'll then also be imagining, well, what are the steps to get to that point? So this press release is the whole, like the tool to be able to do that and to get others on board. And the way that you create this is there's actually a thing. I hadn't heard of it. I had heard of like a backwards press release before, but I didn't know it was Amazon's backwards press release. They sort of came up with this concept. A lot of businesses use this all the time now. But it has this structure. So if you just copy and paste that post into Copilot, it'll actually start generating the backwards press release for you. So this is basically a PR release that you would do once the product's been built and it's been successful. But it helps create that vision. So it's really, really helpful from that perspective. It'll also help you go, oh, I had an idea, but I didn't think I could build this. This actually is pretty cool. This is what I want to build, you know, so it'll help you even form more of your idea and your concept much, much broader. And it'll help you explain it to others who are trying to get on board or trying to get their head around it. Now, the one thing it does do is, because I'm logged in through my personal account, the location is a bit funky. Like it says Bongaree, Queensland. That's because that's a suburb on the island that I live on. And so it's picking up my location from that perspective. But ultimately, everything else should be right. You would change this to be whatever you need it to be. Business model. So there's a business model canvas. I've used this before, and I've always found it really difficult to populate because it really stretches your brain to think about like every component that you need to think about: the logistics, the audiences, the monetization process, the marketing, the channels. Like it does really stretch your brain. And if you're an expert marketer, great, you'll probably do this in a heartbeat. But if this is not something that you do regularly or haven't been trained to do, it does really take time. So the concept of this next prompt is based on this model canvas because it's got lots of really cool little pockets in there. And if you want to download a copy, you can do so through this link here. When you get the result back from Copilot, it won't be an exact match because Copilot is about generative AI, but it's going to be based on these themes. So when I put in the prompt, so you just copy and paste this prompt: complete a business model canvas based on the information you have and format it in a table. Then when that information goes through to Copilot, it will spit back the information. It's pretty close. It's pretty close to all of the things that they have in the business model canvas. Might need a little bit of tweaking, but it's really, really helpful because that'll help you plan out, well, how are we actually going to monetize this product over time? Again, just copy the table that it does and then paste it in the top left-hand corner just to keep your formatting in your workbook. Elevator pitch. I've used this a lot. If there is a prominent person in your organization or your life that is a known entity, right? So it could be Donald Trump. It could be Oprah Winfrey. It could be I'm going to use Satya Nadella and Steve Jobs, but you know, people that are actually widely known, their voice is captured basically through all of the different things that they've written and published. So if they're really well known, then you can actually get an elevator pitch in their voice. So I'm going to show you how to do that because this is pretty cool. It helps land, especially if it's a like a CEO of your organization. if it's in their voice, other people have heard this style before. So when you say it, people will go, oh yeah, that makes sense, because it's a style, it's a process that people are familiar with. So definitely copy and paste this prompt. Says, write me the 10-second and 30-second elevator pitch for this project as if you were Satya Nadella and another as if you were Steve Jobs, that would impress a Microsoft executive or excite people to join the team. So that's the prompt. And what you get back is these two, well, there's 4 elevator pitches, 2 by Satya and 2 by Steve Jobs. So it's just, and it sounds like them, right? That's the thing. I could hear Satya saying, AI Adventure is about empowering every professional to achieve more through gamified AI learning, turning mastery into an engaging, accessible, and impactful journey that fuels creativity and drives productivity. That sounds like Satya, like, so if you're looking to try and compel others, they'd be more inclined to come to something that sounds like people that they admire in the organization. Felicia, I noticed you came on camera. Are there questions that I need to answer before I jump to the next one?
No.
Okay, cool. That's all right. Beautiful. I hope you're all able to follow along. I know this is fast and furious. Part 12. So we're almost there. We've got 2 more to go. The MVP. So this is like outlining what specifications we actually need. Like, what are the product requirements so that we can build the MVP? And this is the prompt for it. So write a PRD, which is a product requirements document, for an MVP for our idea based on the following that we can begin to hack on. And so it gives like the core elements and the key things that we need back. This is going to be a really long response. So when you copy and paste this into Copilot, it will shoot back a few things, most likely. So I've tried to squeeze it all onto this page. You might need to add extra slides in your workbook, but ultimately it will produce each of those sections for you. It may even give you a table. If it does, I just encourage you to create the table with the number of columns and the number of rows that it has, and then paste it in. Otherwise, it'll just get funky. And just do that little bit separately, rather than just copying the whole lot. So this is the product requirements document, and this is the detail, right? This is what your team's going to need to hack. So super useful, and a really great way to be able to then transition it into a build process. Now, the final thing that you need is actually to give your team some guidance around what they're going to be doing over the 5 days that this hackathon is. If your hackathon's not 5 days, if it's 3 days, just change the prompt to the number of days. If it's 2 weeks, change it again. But ultimately, you get to nominate that in the prompt. So here, you're the project manager for this idea, write a project plan so we can get hacking on this project. We have 5 days to work on this project. Create a day-by-day plan, split by morning and afternoon format, in a table, following the Google Ventures Design Sprint framework. Again, never heard of it, but it's great that it exists because it gives more specific instruction to Copilot. That's why we love getting these beautiful prompts from experts. So you just copy and paste this one in. If you wanted more than just morning and afternoon format, you can change that. You could split it into hourly sprints, and then you'd have like a more detailed plan that you need to be able to execute, or just get a bit longer, right? So definitely have a play with that prompt. When you copy and paste it in, it'll give you probably 2 things. It'll give you a table and then the materials you need, because we did ask it to tabulate the response. So this is where you can start to see, what are we going to do? What are our core focuses for each day? How are we going to achieve those milestones? And then what do we actually need to be able to do this together as a team, so I can get all my resources together so I can be really well organized. And then that's how you build your hackathon. I know that is like so much to absorb, but it was probably the most impactful because I take so many prompts from that hackathon, whether I'm doing a hack or not. I use it when I'm thinking about I've got a concept and I need to build it out and need to get more ideas around it. I use Copilot as my personal assistant. Like I go, hey, come on, buddy, come along with me. We're going to do some cool stuff together. And it helps me just round out instead of me having to use my brain, which would be hard, right? Like everyone's exhausted. We're all doing lots of work. If you have an idea on a concept, often it just gets parked and parked and parked because you don't have enough brain space left to really do it justice. And then even if you do build something, you question whether or not it's good enough. And then people might pick it to pieces, right? But if you build out something that's quite robust and really well thought through, it actually helps from that perspective. All right, so I'm going to open up for questions before I wrap up for today. Are there any questions in the chat that I need to answer? Or is everyone just being super busy doing what they need to do? Oh, question on the recording. So Shweta asked, would this recording be shared later? Yes, absolutely. That's the intention. I'm going to see how we get it across to you. Just want to make sure that there's no blockers on you guys being able to access it, but we'll download the recording and get it out later this afternoon. Feel free to keep typing questions if you like. Probably while you're doing that, I want to give you like an early heads up. You might have seen some announcements in LinkedIn already saying, hey, save the date, because we've got this big thing about to happen. It's called the AI Skills Fest. This is a global event, and there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of sessions that are going to be run over the course of 50 days, all completely free. It kicks off on the 8th of April, and that very first kickoff day is time bound. Okay, so what's happening on that day is that for 24 hours, there will be exclusive courses that are going to be run, and they're 45-minute courses, and they can be done self-paced, or there'll be live streamed sessions. They're just going to be pumping them out on the hour every hour for 24 hours. You can choose if you want like a technical one, a non-technical one, or you can sort of choose whichever one's going to suit you. But it's a Guinness World Record attempt. So basically, there's like this current title is 47,000 people to like be learning on AI in 24 hours is the current title, and it's held by an organization in Japan. We're looking to break that. We want millions, right? So we want to be able to skill up millions of people globally. And this particular event will be counted by the Guinness World Records team. So you'll get a badge if you participate in it. You'll get a badge for participating. And then if we break the record, you'll get a gold badge for becoming a record holder, or record breaker. So we're pretty excited about the 8th. And then there's going to be a bunch of stuff. Like if you're a developer, or if you're particularly interested in building agents, AI agents, there's going to be a hackathon with prizes. My goodness, you could use this pack to be able to build out your hackathon idea. And then there's going to be like up to $50,000 worth of prizes. There's maybe 10 different categories and different prize money. So that's all happening within the 50 days. That's just like one of the things you can do. I can't participate, unfortunately, because I'm a Microsoftie, but it sounds amazing. The actual registration site isn't live yet, right? This is why I'm letting you guys know now. But come the 25th of March, all advertising says 24th, but that's US time. So 25th of March, our time, this link here, the aka.ms/AI Skills Fest, that will be live, and you'll get taken straight into the global event page, and there'll be a register button. And that register button will just sign you up for the Skills Fest. It costs nothing. Basically, they'll ask you for your name, your email, what country you're in, and what type of career you are. So whether you're a tech professional or a business professional, a leader, a student, that sort of thing. But that's pretty much all they ask for. And then you get registered, and then you'll get a whole bunch of notifications to let you know what's going on. So definitely encourage you next week on Tuesday, okay, to get in there and sign up for it, because it's going to be pretty special. All right. Okay. So thank you so much for your time. It is very difficult to do prompting on the screen, but I really hope that you guys can take the workbook and then do this on your own. build out your strings, challenge Copilot to give you better responses. If you come up with a better prompt, change my prompt in the pack and make it your own. And that can be your little toolkit that you use every time you want to either hack out an idea on your own or actually build out a concept to take in to do a real hackathon. But thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll make sure that we get the recording. I believe we might have dropped a link to the slides as well into the chat. And yeah, by all means, stay in touch. It was great to see so many of you on here, and some of you I've worked with before. Some of you have been at other events with me before, so it's been absolutely wonderful to have you all back. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and big thank you to our moderators again, please, Felicia Clark and also Susanth. It was great to have you on board and answering and posting all of those tips in the chat as well. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all next time. Bye.